Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts, part of our Wednesday night Legacy series. And we have, I believe, Storm versus Grixis. We'll see how this goes. Actually, don't recall the players on camera. If you want to let me know in the comments if this is you on camera, I'll go ahead and update the description. But let's see if these deck descriptions are correct. If it's a Grixis Delver or Control variant, both very different decks, and both actually performing very well in the metagame right now. Grixis Control may be a little less popular than it was, but it does have the proper colors to really adjust to most threats. Kind of shares the top spot of control decks with Miracles. And Grixis on a mull to 6. We're going to see under a basic swamp into Thoughtseize. And we see a Bitter Blossom main deck along with Brainstorm and Lightning Bolt. Brainstorm, the only real threat there versus Storm. Bitter Blossom going to play for a long game, which is not likely in the cards here. Problem with that basic swamp leading out is it does not allow for a Brainstorm fetch on turn 2. Brainstorm, if it is fired off, will not have quite the full utility. And that's going to be fine because we got Preordain instead, so no real pressure from the Grixis side of the table. And then just look to Sculpt. Neither of those are really good enough, so going to the bottom. Extra land's not that exciting. Can do better. Underground Sea fetched out for Grixis. And Bitter Blossom on turn 2. 2 mystery cards in hand. Could be forcing a blue card. Likely test that soon. And starting out with Ponder. Being a Duress and a Lion's Eye Diamond. Diamond jumping right to the top of those 3. This is the type of fuel needed to get a good fire going here. Build up some Storm. Duress firing off, showing Young Pyromancer and Bolt. So just Pyromancer left behind along with the Wasteland. These basic lands going to be immune to that Wasteland. Young Pyromancer played just 1 mystery card. Shields are as down as they get. A few more turns left before Grixis closes it out. It's going to be 3, 4, then 5, and 6 damage. Any cantrips or anything are going to add tokens as well, so not a ton of time to mess around here. Really going to want to find the win while the shields are down. Looks like perhaps no additional land drop in hand. Would be problematic. Storm does get more and more powerful with each land drop. And here we've got a Dark Ritual. Can't feel super awesome about that. Into a mystery card. If that was Daze, this would be devastating. And now Thoughtseize being used. If that card was relevant, it would have been used on the Dark Ritual. Ooh, and passing the turn. I don't really agree with that line. See where it leads. I think that Dark Ritual is basically just thrown away. Ponder here. One more mana last turn without casting Thoughtseize could have potentially allowed for something like Empty the Warrens, but that's also not really where you want to be. You're facing down token generation on the other side of the board. 4 damage coming in. A couple of more turns. And all sorts of discard has been played here. Ball Ritual has plenty of mana. Storm 1, 5 black. Hot Seas again. Going Stifle would have potentially been an issue as we get going here. Lion's Eye Diamond. 4 black floating still. Infernal Tutor cracking, putting LED Past in Flames into the graveyard off of that Lion's Eye Diamond, grabbing Infernal Tutor, and I think we're still gonna get there. Past in Flames about to get flashed back, and I think we're gonna have lethal. Let's see how this plays out. Past in Flames, got a couple of rituals here. 3 rituals, Infernal Tutor. That should do it. So Tendrils, along with those discard spells if needed, gonna create lethal. So, man, Storm looked like it might just falter out of the game, but manages to get that on the critical turn. So Grixis is going to need to find a way to get the next 2 games. Storm can be a very unnerving deck for people to play against. The fact that it can kill you on turn 1 really messes with people's decisions in terms of what to mulligan, what to keep. I've experienced a lot of opponents with self-doubt and just real concern for the worst-case scenarios. And you know, probably more so with Storm than almost any other deck that I've played, at least in Legacy. Sneak and Show gets a little bit of that, but there's just something about Storm where people just kind of really accept that this can kill me on the first turn, and sometimes, you know, mulligan perfectly serviceable hands just because of that concern, really overemphasizing the importance of Force of Will. Force of Will is very important. But really, Force of Will is probably not enough in and of itself. Even if you can force a turn 1 bid for a game win, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game's over. I mean, if they just ritual into an ad nauseum and you stop it, I mean, they may actually have enough to recoup and move forward. So you can't necessarily be all in just on that concept. Force of Will, a very good card in the matchup, but it's not everything. Also, if they don't move all in, you know, a Singleton Force not going to do a whole lot versus a deck that plays all sorts of discards. So they do play it a little bit slower. You can find yourself in a world of hurt. Here we see Preordain off of Basic Island. I am liking our new lighting setup for the most part here. Cards seem very crisp. Let me know what you guys think about that, if everything is totally visible to you. Seems to be our best yet. Just in time for the ELD Legacy Open this weekend, Saturday, April 13th. If you're in the area, I do recommend pre-registering if you're going to play. We may reach capacity. Got seating for about 50 people in here very comfortably. Let's see here. Spell Pierce now on this Lion's Eye Diamond. And Storm perhaps considering a dark ritual around it, instead passing the turn. So Lotus Petal has resolved, LED countered by a Spell Pierce. Lion's Eye Diamond, a real trump. The Spell Pierce at times, getting down multiple of them. Definitely seen opponents show me hands full of Dazes and Spell Pierces as I just comboed out on them, and at no point in time were they're kind of taxing counterspell is going to be good enough to stop anything. This deck can just go so far into mana creation. And Young Pyromancer coming down. Perhaps able to set a clock here. Storm still on one land. And here we go. Looks like 3 lands, a fetch land and a couple of duels. And Stifle, perhaps a concern. No dice on the Stifle. Fetch land is going to be happening. Basic so rock solid. Often where you want to be in Legacy. A little counterintuitive if you haven't played a lot of Legacy. It may seem like you always want to be getting those dual lands, but more often than not, you want the kind of rock solid basic lands to be able to withstand the assault of Wasteland and cards like Back to Basics and Blood Moon. Spell Pierce stopping that duress, still kind of doing its job. Oh, is this actually going to be a Dark Ritual to power out this duress? It's a decision. It looks like it's going to happen, so more black mana. And that's going to pay for the Spell Pierce, and that's going to grab the Brainstorm, leaving just a Gurmag Angler in hand. So Grixis in beatdown mode. Storm, the shields are down. See what they can do with it. Still some mana floating. Playmat on the left from our ELD Pauper Open. It was last weekend. I actually played in that one and took it down. Playmat will be available. Dark Petition here. And depending on how much mana is floating, this could be very bad for Grixis. Lion's Eye Diamond. Well, certainly going to combo with these cards in hand. Let's see what line is available. Is it going to be Past in Flames? I believe Past in Flames would just be a wrap. Oh, Infernal Tutor, good enough. Tracking LED. And empty the Warrens, and this is going to be a whole lot of goblins. So 18 goblins. One shy of lethal with tendrils. And Grixis now in a situation of needing to find a sweeper. Marsh Casualties, the most common for Grixis colors. And Gurmag Angler coming down. Gonna be able to block a few guys. This is gonna be a 2-turn situation. Going to be 14 damage. Surgical being cast. Don't really love this play. Unless it's in the draw step. I mean, it's not in the draw step. He doesn't have any cards in hand. So, slightly better play would have been to wait for the draw step and then Surgical. That has the potential for him to draw an Infernal Tutor and then strip it from his hand. 12 damage coming in, keeping the young Pyromancer around. And Force of Will off the top, that will not do. And empty the Warrens, taking it down for Storm in 2. Thanks for watching.